This story became a sensation. Hollywood legend Jack Nicholson, whose charisma and iconic roles made him a global icon, clashed with provocative host Joy Behar on her talk show The Spotlight. Nicholson arrived to discuss his charitable work supporting children's hospitals, but what was meant to be a routine interview turned into a shocking battle that left everyone stunned. This conflict went down in history as a stark example of how far media can go for ratings. Watch until the end to find out how it all unfolded, and share your thoughts in the comments. The Spotlight studio buzzed with anticipation, like an arena before a storm. Blinding spotlights flooded the stage, and the audience whispered excitedly, sensing an explosive evening ahead. In the central chair sat Jack Nicholson, 87 years old, a legend whose tailored gray suit and piercing gaze exuded effortless confidence. His reputation as an actor who stayed true to himself made his presence magnetic. Across from him was Joy Behar, the host with a sharp tongue and a cold smile, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Behind the scenes, producers exchanged nervous glances, sensing the show could spiral out of control. "Jack, welcome to the Spotlight," Joy began with feigned warmth, her voice sweet but laced with sarcasm. "You've been away from the screen for a while, but your charitable funds are making headlines. What inspires you to support children's hospitals?" Jack leaned back in his chair, his signature smile relaxed but his eyes keenly watching the host. "Joy, I do it because it's right," he replied, his voice low and calm. "Kids deserve a chance, and if I can help I will. Plain and simple." The audience applauded, but Joy quickly shifted her tone, her smile sharpening. "Plain and simple?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Jack, let's be honest. There are rumors that your funds aren't just about kids. Some say they're a convenient way to launder money. What do you say to that?" The question hit like a lightning bolt. The audience froze, some letting out nervous laughs. Jack narrowed his eyes, his fingers slightly gripping the armrest, but he kept his composure. "Joy, that's a serious accusation," he said, his voice steady but tinged with irritation. "My funds help people. If you have proof, show it. Otherwise, it's just dirty gossip." "Oh, we'll get to that," Joy said, her eyes flashing. "But first, there's talk that your funds move large sums through offshore accounts. Some call it suspicious. Is that true?" The audience gasped, sensing the rising tension. Jack leaned forward, his smile gone. "Joy, if you're going to throw around accusations like that, you need facts," he said, his voice firmer. "My funds are audited, their work is transparent. Want the truth? Check the records, don't make up stories." The room erupted in applause, but the tension only grew. Joy didn't back down. Her voice grew sharper, her accusations bolder. "Jack, no need to get so heated," she said with a sarcastic smile. "But let's face it. You're a legend, but your name's often tied to scandals. Some say your funds aren't charity, they're a scheme to launder money from your wild past. Parties, connections, shady deals, isn't that all part of the game?" The audience froze again. A producer backstage gestured to stop Joy, but she ignored him. Jack took a slow breath, his gaze icy but controlled. "Joy, I've lived a long life, and I don't hide from it," he began, his voice quiet but firm. "But accusing my funds of money laundering without a shred of evidence? That's low, even for a talk show." "Low?" Joy laughed, her laugh sharp like glass. "Jack, this show is called The Spotlight. We uncover the truth. For example, there's talk that your funds funnel money through companies in Panama. You say you care about kids, but don't you care more about hiding your wealth?" The room gasped, someone shouting, "That's too far." Jack pressed his lips together, his fingers tapping the armrest. He was on edge, but his response remained measured. "Joy, you're throwing accusations around, but where's the proof?" he asked, his voice deeper. "My funds help hospitals, and it's documented. If you want to dig in the dirt, look elsewhere." The audience erupted in applause, but Joy leaned back in her chair, her smile colder. "Documented?" she scoffed, her voice dripping with cynicism. "Jack, we all know how easy it is to fudge numbers. Tell us honestly, Are your funds about kids, or about hiding millions from taxes? The tension in the studio became unbearable. Producers whispered frantically backstage, the audience buzzed. A text question flashed on the screen. How would you respond to such an accusation? Jack leaned forward, his eyes burning, but he still held himself together. Joy, I don't need your show to know who I am, he said, his voice quiet but sharp. I help because it's right. And you? You're just chasing a scandal to keep your show alive. The room exploded in applause again, but Joy wasn't done. Her smile turned almost predatory. Scandal? She asked. Jack, I'm just asking the questions the public wants answered. Like, why do your funds so rarely release detailed financial reports? Is it because there's something to hide? Joy pressed further, her voice growing more provocative. Let's get specific, Jack, she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. There are rumors that your fund works with offshore companies known as tools for money laundering. Some even call it a charity front. Are you ready to answer that? The audience froze, whispers rippling through the crowd. Jack slowly rose from his chair, his face stern but dignified. He looked at Joy, then at the audience, and when he spoke, his voice carried quiet strength. Joy, I don't know where you're getting these lies, he said. But I won't let you smear my work for ratings. My funds help kids, and I'm proud of that. If you want the truth, check the facts, not invent stories. The room erupted in applause, but Joy only smiled, as if she'd gotten what she wanted. Facts, Jack? She said, her voice laced with mockery. The public wants to know why a star of your caliber hides the details of their charity. Is it because the truth might reveal your funds are just a scheme? This was the moment Jack's patience began to crack. His eyes flashed, but he still held himself together. Joy, you can throw words around all you want, he said, his voice carrying a hint of menace. But I don't play your games. I'm here to talk about what matters, not your fantasies. The audience applauded, but the tension only mounted. What will Jack Nicholson do? Will he explode, or hold on to his dignity? Watch part 2 to see how this drama unfolds, and share your thoughts in the comments. The tension in the Spotlight studio had reached a breaking point. Jack Nicholson, Hollywood legend, sat across from Joy Behar, whose provocative accusations of money laundering through his charitable funds struck at his dignity. The audience was frozen, sensing the show teetered on the edge of chaos. Would Nicholson maintain his composure, or would he unleash his emotions? This part of the story reveals the climax, its aftermath, and the moral lesson that left everyone reflecting. Watch until the end to find out how it all ended, and share your thoughts in the comments. Joy Behar didn't back down, her voice growing bolder, her accusations more personal. She leaned forward, her cold smile clashing with the tension in her eyes. Jack, you're dodging the question, she said, her tone dripping with cynicism. The public wants to know, if your funds are so clean, why are you so afraid of transparency? Why are your funds reports so vague? Is it because they're hiding money laundering schemes? The audience gasped, someone in the back shouting, That's too far! Jack Nicholson gripped the armrests of his chair, his face stern but his eyes sparking with anger. He took a slow breath, trying to maintain control. Joy, you're repeating yourself, he replied, his voice low and sharp like a blade. I told you, my funds help kids. Every penny is documented. If you want to accuse me of something serious, show proof. Without it, you're just waving empty words. The room erupted in applause, but Joy only smiled, her eyes gleaming with excitement. She leaned back in her chair, as if savoring the tension. Proof, Jack? She asked, her voice laced with sarcasm. There are people saying your funds move money through offshore companies tied to shady financial dealings. You don't deny your partners in Panama raise questions, do you? The audience froze again, sensing a line had been crossed. Producers backstage exchanged panicked looks, one raising a hand to stop the show, but Joy ignored them. Jack leaned forward, his gaze icy but dignified. Joy, you're crossing every line, he said, his voice quieter but heavier. You're throwing accusations without a single fact. My funds are audited, and I don't hide from the truth. And you? You're hiding behind your microphone, thinking it gives you the right to smear others. The room exploded in applause, but the tension only grew. A text question flashed on the screen. Would you stand with Jack in this moment? The audience buzzed, some whispering, others shouting support for Nicholson. Joy, however, didn't relent. Smear? She scoffed, her smile almost predatory. Jack, I'm just asking the questions the public wants answered. Like, why did your fund pay hundreds of thousands to consultants tied to offshore schemes? That's not just a coincidence, is it? Jack pressed his lips together, his fingers no longer tapping the armrest. He glanced at the audience, as if seeking their support, then turned back to Joy. Joy, I don't know who's feeding you these lies, he said, his voice laced with restrained fury. But I won't let you trash my work for your show. You want the truth? Come with facts, not gossip. The audience erupted in applause again, but Joy leaned back, her smile colder. Facts, Jack? She said, her voice dripping with cynicism. The public deserves to know if your charitable millions are really helping or just hiding dirty money. You don't deny your finances look suspicious, do you? That was the final straw. Jack slowly rose from his chair, his posture radiating dignity, but his eyes burning with anger. Joy, enough, Jack said, his voice quiet but piercing, like thunder before a storm. I came here with respect for you and your audience. I wanted to talk about kids, hospitals, things that matter. But you've turned this into a circus. You accuse me of money laundering without a shred of evidence. You're trashing my work, my reputation, my conscience. And for what? Ratings? A few minutes of fame? The audience froze, feeling the weight of his words. Jack paused, his gaze piercing Joy, but he addressed everyone in the studio. I'm not perfect, he continued, his voice trembling with emotion but steady. I've made mistakes, lived a loud life, and I don't hide from it. But my funds? They're real. They help kids fighting for their lives. And I won't let you, Joy, or anyone else demean that for a show. You've shown who you really are, a person who sells lies for attention. The room erupted in applause, louder this time, filled with respect. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Jack raised a hand, stopping her. I'm done, he said, his voice filled with final resolve. I don't play your games. If you want the truth, check the records. I'm leaving because I respect myself and those who believe in my work. With that, Jack Nicholson turned and walked off the stage. His steps were firm, his back straight. The studio fell into silence, broken only by the audience's whispers. Joy sat frozen, her smile gone, her eyes betraying shock. She tried to recover, addressing the audience. Well, that was unexpected, she said, her voice trembling. But we're just seeking the truth, aren't we? The audience responded with mixed murmurs. Some clapped, others booed. Producers backstage panicked, one frantically signaling to cut to commercial. A text question flashed on the screen. Did Jack do the right thing by walking off? Jack Nicholson's exit from the Spotlight studio became a moment that shook Hollywood and the media world. This confrontation highlighted the stark contrast between the dignity of a man standing by his principles and the toxicity of media chasing sensationalism. Nicholson, despite the provocations, maintained his dignity, emphasizing the importance of his work for children and refusing to play Joy Behar's dirty games. His words about self-respect and integrity left a mark on the audience, prompting many to reflect on the boundaries talk shows cross for ratings. This episode sparked a broader conversation about media ethics. Joy Behar may have achieved her goal of drawing attention to her show, but at the cost of her reputation. Her baseless accusations exposed the cynicism often hidden behind the glitz of TV spotlights. Nicholson, meanwhile, reminded everyone that true strength lies in truth and self-respect. This moment showed how far talk shows can go and left viewers questioning, where's the line between entertainment and humiliation? Subscribe to catch more stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of Joy Behar's behavior? Were her accusations justified, or was it just a grab for attention? Did Jack Nicholson do the right thing by walking off, or should he have stayed to fight? Why do talk show hosts resort to personal attacks for ratings? Share in the comments how you'd react in Jack's place, and whether this changed your view of talk show culture.